Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
I was maybe a little flamboyant in my love for Oregon.
Urban Meyer was on TV saying Whiteout's worth 10 points. Not to Oregon.
Aller is what we thought Aller is.
They thought they were going to win the game so much, they threw a wide receiver screen to the left tackle.
If Mateer comes back for Red River, would you bet it?
We need to talk about him more. Like, all you do is talk about him.
Lamar's like the James Franklin of NFL quarterbacks.
I can't wait to let 18 to 22-year-olds go through
I made a call, to Vegas. I said, look, we actually need the paper here.
Welcome again to Bear Bets, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook, the best place to bet touchdowns this season. And this week, new customers bet $5. You get $200 in bonus bets paid instantly. Download the app, use the promo code BearBets. BearBets, 2 words. When you sign up, DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. As always, Sammy P, Geoff Schwartz, join me on Monday. We kind of kick around the week that was in both college football and the NFL, and look ahead to what we're eyeing the coming week in terms of line moves, games, matchups, futures, and whatever else is on our mind. Let's just get right into it. What an unbelievable week, and really what like an unbelievable half hour from, I guess it was like 11:15 to 11:45 on Saturday night. Yeah, the 2 longest home winning streaks in the country come to an end. And Geoff, I'll just start with you. I'll give you the floor after what we saw Saturday night in State College.
Do you know who owns the longest home winning streak and the longest road winning streak? The Oregon Ducks do. I don't know, man. What a game, Bear. I was maybe a little flamboyant in my love for Oregon on our podcast Thursday. I think I've told you for a while, I thought this game was going to be very hard for us to win. It is a tough environment to play in. We did not have a lot of returning starters. This is a game Penn State had penciled in to win for years now, right? They're building to this season. And we were the rightful winner. I know the game got close to the end, but we outplayed them. And I just, our staff and the ability to get this team ready to play in this game and to do the different things in the offseason to prepare, whether it was physicality and stopping the run, switching up some defensive schemes, like things that we did. Dante Moore bringing him along over the year, right? Getting ready to play, getting Decorian Moore ready to go. The offensive line. I mean, zero false starts from any offensive lineman in this game. 2 from tight ends. That was it. It's
amazing.
They played so well. I'm so proud of the way they played. And look, I didn't think this year was a championship season. I don't think the staff even felt that way. I think the timeline might move up a little bit now after a win like that. And so, what a night, man. It was so much fun to watch.
And Sammy, this is why for weeks now, we have been talking as a show, get ahead on Oregon. If they win at Penn State, all these Dante Moore, 14, 15 to 1 to win the Heisman, 5 to 1 to go undefeated, the 10, 11 to 1 to win the national title. All those prices are going to be gone. What happened on Saturday night? They were clearly the better team for 50 minutes. Penn State's offense did nothing until they fell behind 2 touchdowns. Give them credit for coming back and making plays. Give the defense credit for keeping them in that game. But it would have been criminal, I think, had Oregon had lost this game.
They weren't even fazed by the crowd and the noise and the whiteout. And you're just like, holy cow, this is a team right here that is not even close to being intimidated by that moment. A lesser team goes in there and gets crumbled by the pressure, by the noise, by everything that goes into a game at Penn State. Urban Meyer was on TV saying Whiteout's worth 10 points. and not to Oregon. I mean, that's Urban Meyer, who knows a thing or two about the whiteout. And like, to watch Oregon move the ball, Penn State couldn't move the ball. I thought it was going to get hairy there at the end, Jeff. But then Drew Aller did what Drew Aller does.
Bingo.
An interception to end the game.
I thought we should go for 2 after the first time we scored.
I thought he was going to.
I thought our defense was just gassed, right? And it certainly looked that way at the end. And then, look, it ended up working out in the end. I think even, look, win or lose that game, you have proven you belonged. You know, even if we lost that game, it would have been devastating, of course. But you prove that you're one of the best teams in the country. And look, I think after 3 weeks, guys, there's 3 for sure playoff teams, right? Miami, Oregon, Ohio State, as of right now, like those 3, I think we feel very comfortable with. I think we like Bama, we like Georgia, we like maybe another Big Ten team to pop their way in there. Maybe another ACC team, Florida State wins this weekend, and they're in the conversation, right? One Big 12 team. So I feel like after 3 weeks, we sort of know maybe who those group of teams is going to be. But Oregon, Ohio State's win, look, I know Washington, I don't think is as good as people want them to be, but that was a very quality win in a place that, they'd won 30-something odd home games in a row. Ohio State went in there and pretty much dominated that game. So the top of college football feels sort of very secure now with who those teams are.
I think you're right. I think there's very little difference between 1, 2, and 3, Ohio State, Oregon, Miami. I think those are the 3 best teams in the country. It's funny when you do the power rankings and like in your ratings and ranking them in the whatever poll you vote in, like when you hit 4, it seems like it's a tough deal, but common denominator with Ohio State, Miami, and Oregon, like up front, trenches, defensive line, offensive line, running the ball. Like that's all those teams, and Mario Cristobal, Miami and Oregon. That's how we built both of those teams. Ohio State, bringing in Patricia, the defense, a big deal. Let's take it back to Penn State really quickly here, because I think going into the year, I even said the safest bet I thought in the college football world was laying 265 or whatever Penn State was to make the playoff. That number's come down now. And I'm not so sure anymore. Like if you look at Penn State the rest of the year, again, you said it. Aller is what we thought Aller is. Are the national media and draft pundits, are they all to blame for like putting this kid on a pedestal and trying to sell him as a Heisman guy, as a number 1 pick in the NFL draft because he's got Josh Allen measurables? His numbers against top 10 teams have not been good. And now you got the 4-21 for James Franklin, and they're 1-10 in Big Ten top 10 matchups. All the narratives that we heard about Penn State were furthered Saturday night. Now, granted, yes, it was a loss in overtime, but that's a game you got to win. If you can't win that game, what's to make you believe that you can go to Columbus and win against that defense? And then, by the way, the week after they go to Columbus and probably lose, they got Indiana coming in. And suddenly that does not look like an automatic win for Penn State. I'm sure they'll be favored by around a touchdown or so, 10, depending what happens with IU the rest of the year. But like, is there a possibility here that Penn State could miss the playoffs, Sammy?
It's possible. I still think they make it though at 10-2. We know about the power the Big Ten has in the rankings, and clearly you have a bunch of good teams near the top. 10-2 gets them in. 9-3, no chance, I don't think. But they're going to go 10-2 probably, and have those big games both be losses, but they'll get in. And I think it is important to remember that nobody on this show, of the 3 of us, nobody ever said Penn State was winning the championship.
Correct.
I think we all thought they were going to get in. But the challenge, I'll speak for myself, the challenge I always saw was that you had to win 2 or 3 really big games in a row, and he can't win 1 big game. So that's the issue that I always had. And look, you teed it up perfectly, I think, on our Thursday show. You said, if it isn't this year, when is it? Never. That's the answer. It's never, Bear.
It's interesting because I don't think there was one thing in that game Saturday that can point to and say Franklin's team lost because of this thing, right? There was a punt like at the 42 that it probably wasn't great, but it's not like
they lost because of the blown holding call, the non-holding call. That's why they lost.
I think they called 1 holding the entire game, and it was on World. That was it. And of course, Oregon's defenders didn't get held ever, right? Of course, Penn State's perfect offensive line. Nonetheless, like there wasn't like one thing specifically in that game that Franklin, I think, did not do well. the issue, of course, is that he probably chose the wrong quarterback to build around. And that becomes the biggest problem for your team right now. But I will say this, right? So we saw, maybe not apples comparison, we saw Ohio State lose to Michigan and decide, let's open up the offense a little bit. We saw in the fourth quarter, right, of this game against Oregon, we saw in the second half of some playoff games, they got better offensively with better plays, trying to do more. If they come out of this game and try to do more, even though it might be out of our comfort zone, guys, that's where the improvement can come. And I don't think they beat Ohio State. I mean, look, it's going to be a rock fight. That game's going to be 14-10, like 21-7 as we saw last year, I think it was. They can have a couple bounces go their way. Don't think Indiana's going to come in there and win. They're going to win all their other games because they're just better than everyone else. So they'll be back in the playoffs. And look, yeah, but what becomes of them in the postseason? They're going to beat the teams they should. They beat Boise State last year. They beat SMU. We're up against an Irish team that they couldn't beat. So, yeah, it's again, I don't think Franklin did anything specifically wrong in this game, Bear. It's just his team wasn't ready to win this game.
I also, Bear, have this for you. If you look at the AP top 25 poll, last I checked, we're in week 6 now. There are 2 teams in the top 25 that have not beaten a Power 4 team. Number 1 is Texas. Number 2 is Penn State.
Well, that'll change on Saturday. Don't worry. But yes, I if UCLA beats Penn State, I watched that Bruin Northwestern game. Unfortunately, that was, I don't know how much you watched that, Bear, because you were traveling back from your big
what is
game.
0?
That was a rough watch. They covered for us, Bear. They got home, but that was a rough one. Bruins are bad.
They're headed. The UCLA is headed towards.
They're going to go 12.
They're going to go. I was going to say O- is very much in their future. I think they have Maryland, and depending on like the Terps this week could be interesting. And I don't think they're as good as Maryland. But Sammy, let's move on to a game that look, you were high on Alabama. The odds makers were high on Alabama. Power ratings were high on Alabama. They bet Alabama all week, and they got home. They got up big. Georgia's defense played better in the second half, but big drops again. Frazier fumbled deep inside his own territory. A botched fourth down conversion by Kirby there when they could have just kicked the field goal and tied the game and started afresh when they had all the momentum. Give Alabama credit. That game at Florida State in the opener kind of looks like a one-off now. They're a different team from what they were week 1. That was Simpson's first start. It was on the road against a desperate team. They had cluster injuries at the running back position, other injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I know people are pissed off beyond belief now that Alabama is ranked higher than Florida State despite the head-to-head win. But I think that's part of the – and I put out my top 10 and people are wound up at me. But I said, I am now at the point in the year where it's like, okay, do I go straight power ratings? Do I go resume? Do I go results? Do I think who would be? And it's kind of a combo with both, but I think you're kind of doing yourself a little bit of a disservice if you're saying that the Alabama team that went to Tallahassee week 1 and looked all out of sorts and lost is the same team that we saw go into Athens and snap the nation's longest home winning streak.
This was a regime-saving win for Kalen DeBoer, who, by my count, is now 10-2 ATS as a dog in 12 games, and 9 of those games he won outright. Imagine if Bama goes in there and loses by 2 touchdowns. They're talking about firing this guy this morning. But to go into Athens and win that game, it was impressive. I thought Ty Simpson was awesome in the first half. Now, Kirby always makes those halftime adjustments, and Bama did struggle in that second half, of course. But Simpson had 3 touchdowns in the first half, one of those on the ground. He was 22-1, 20-1 to win the Heisman. Now he's a second favorite. Both quarterbacks that won in that primetime slot, Dante Moore and Ty Simpson, are 1-2 right now at most sports books. So good on you if you got a piece. As I told you guys last week, I had a former bookmaker say Bama +3 was the biggest bet he was going to make all season. He got that one right. The nerds got that one right there. They did not get Penn State right, but they got Bama right.
Look, I think we were so quick to write off Bama, right, from week 1. Maybe that's our mistake as a general public when it comes to Bama, but we know they're super talented. I've talked about Kalen DeBoer for years. I saw him personally do it to Oregon, right, at Washington, how much he went there. The Ryan Grubb addition back with Kalen DeBoer is huge, man. Like he is such a great offensive play caller. Those two together form such a good pair. And maybe week 1 was just tough to get everything going with a new quarterback. And Bear mentioned the cluster injuries. The offensive line, I think, is improving. I mean, Caden Proctor has a reception now. Good for him. Got about 12 yards. I mean, that's how much Alabama thought they would win the
Schwartz
game.
Club with the reception.
They thought they were going to win the game so much they threw a wide receiver screen to the left tackle. Like, that's how much they thought they would win this game. You don't put that in there in games you're going to lose, right? And it was a showcase game for, I think, what they can do. And then on the Georgia side, to me, this is just a gradual decline from where they've been, because it's just hard to have so many good players go to the NFL and replace them with more NFL players. Like what Nick Saban did for 10 years, just replacing first round wide receiver, another first round guy with a first round left tackle, then another, is impossible. Right? He did something that's impossible to do. And we're seeing at Clemson, at Georgia to a different degree, a little. It's hard to keep all these players bare. They're just not as good as they've been in the past. It's that simple. No, I don't think the coaching staff is any less good. But again, Dan Lanning left, and the defense hasn't been quite the same, right? Defensive coordinator changed on offense. Offense has not been quite the same. I mean, you let Carson Bett walk out of there. I'm not saying Stockton's why they lost this game, but we're seeing how well he's playing in Miami, right? So maybe he knew, like, I need to go somewhere else to get the most out of my potential. So it doesn't mean Georgia stinks or can't win, but I think they're sort of maybe out right now of that championship bubble where they've been in there for so many years now.
Yeah, I ranked them 9th this week. Again, if you go look at Bill Connolly, his SP plus and the post-game win expectancy, like Alabama's win expectancy was the lowest of the week, post-game win expectancy, which kind of surprised me with how much they really dominated the first half of the game. But that being said, you talk about Georgia. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. The fact that they get Texas at home, they get Ole Miss at home. The Georgia Tech game is at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. It still looks like a 10-2 team at worst to me. That win at Tennessee was massive. But you're right about the offense as well. To go from Monken to now Bobo, it's not the same team. They did run the ball great in the second half, but again, Frazier fumbled the ball a ton last year, another big one Saturday. What I would love to see with a prop, I would love to see will a 9-3 team make the college football playoff this year? Because either Texas or Georgia are going to lose this game, that head-to-head late in the year in Athens. 9-3. There's going to be a couple of really good 9-3 teams out there, and I'm curious. Maybe Sammy, you can get your former bookmaker friend out there to come up with a number on will a 9-3 team make the playoff.
I can work on that. In the meantime, I can tell you that this guy that I get numbers from, I get 3 sets of numbers and then kind of get to the middle, average them out. Mm-hmm. He's got Alabama number 3 in the country right now. Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, Alabama 3.
It's interesting. You mentioned SP plus. Georgia's 16th, which is probably the lowest they've been in 10 years, 9-10 years. Like, it's just not the same team. And you mentioned the post-game win expectancy. They had only 23% at Tennessee and then 80 against Alabama. So obviously, kind of flip-flop in the situation. I think they're fine. They're going to be fine, but they are just missing a little bit of explosiveness on their offensive line. They've lost a bunch of guys over the years. And one thing too is, like, they're not great on defense on third down, which had been their calling. I think they have 0 sacks this year, correct? 0 sacks so far this season, which again, by the way, they were never a team that had a ton of sacks even when they were winning. That wasn't who they were. They had some, though. They can't rush the passer right now.
No, they can't rush the passer. As well as they did on the offensive side of the ball and hitting on receivers and such in the portal, like their safeties that they went on, the secondary guys that they brought in have clearly not been the guys that they were expecting to be. So we talked a little bit about the Heisman. You got Dante Moore, Ty Simpson, 1 and 2. Is there a bet here still with someone a little bit further down the board? Does anybody think, look, we as a show are in great positions with the prices we got on Dante Moore, with the prices we got on Carson Beck? Sammy, I think you took some Ty Simpson. Like, is there someone else that you potentially could get ahead on if some of these guys fell? But look, I think there's a really good if Miami wins this week at Florida State, like, they're probably, I don't want to say probably, there is a good chance they're going to go 12-0. Oregon is really likely now to go 12-0. Like, it feels like this is kind of Dante Moore or Carson Beck's to lose, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and we'll see what Simpson does at Bama. Yeah, I was hanging out with Geoff last week, and I got back from the bar. Geoff didn't drink, I did. I'm like, oh, I bet Ty Simpson. Oh, I bet him for that much. Oh, interesting.
It's funny how that happened. The worst time for me usually is like when I'm laying, either sitting in the chair before bed or laying in bed, and I'm just kind of refreshing and like looking to see if there are any like boosts or anything that I haven't used yet. And that's when I tend to get a little carried away with some things, even though I will say, like during the NBA season, there was like an NBA boost for something. And I wound up like betting the Pacers, like boosted to like 40-1 to win the Eastern Conference. So that kind of worked out for me there. But yeah, it feels like one of these quarterbacks, Carson Beck, Dante Moore, probably, we're in good shape there.
Yeah, we are for sure. We've also had 5 favorites in 5 weeks now, if you think about it. So whoever goes to the favorite, don't bet them. Just bet somebody else. Yep. We go from Arch Manning to Carson Beck to Mateer to Mendoza to Dante Moore now.
That's such a good number on him. Mm.
That's the one question. If Mateer comes back for Red River, would you bet it? I don't know that answer. I don't have that myself, but I know people have had these conversations behind closed doors. Would you bet Mateer if he comes back early and has a chance to play before the Texas game? I don't know, but it is being talked about.
I think that feels difficult to win a Heisman playing 9 games, 8 games, whatever, especially with their schedule too. Like they're bound to lose probably another game or two with that schedule. The other guy, and probably unlikely, but CJ Carr is having a great season in Notre Dame. Is that worth anything? He's thrown for 1,000 yards, almost 1,100 yards so far. He's completing 70% of passes. He's rushing the ball ish, but he gets sacks. So that kind of hurts the rushing yards, but he's playing well. It's probably not a best wager because they go 10-2. He's gonna have to throw for 4,500 yards. I mean, unlikely, but the offense is really good at Notre Dame.
Yeah, they're very likely, I think, to go 10-2 now. And we were going through the odds to make the playoff while we were waiting to record here, and they're still plus money to make the playoff now, which I think is a great bet. Like that USC defense is terrible, and they got to. I think Notre Dame is winning out, and I think at 10-2, they are in the playoff.
I got so close, Bear, by the way, to hitting my underdog of the week with Arkansas. There, it was.
Yeah, that was close.
Almost got home, Sammy. Almost got there. Yeah.
Oof. So another team that was kind of written off was in the NFL, and they're the team that has won 9 straight AFC West titles and been to the Super Bowl, 5 of the last 6 years, and that was the Kansas City Chiefs. They were a home underdog against the Baltimore Ravens. Every square in the world was on the Ravens, and this game was never close. Lamar injury, no Lamar injury. The Chiefs were always the right side once they kicked this game off. And again, if you showed some belief and kind of had a little long-term view on Kansas City that, you know what, they really could have won that game against the Eagles. And okay, they lost the opener against the Chargers, and you're going to get Xavier Worthy back, and you're going to get Rashee Rice back, and Thornton and the young guys are going to continue to get better. Like, you probably could have picked off some pretty good numbers on the Chiefs now, where Chargers suffer a loss at the Giants. So here we are again, Geoff. Kansas City Chiefs are right there, and it looks like they are in great position to get back to the playoffs and maybe even another Super Bowl.
So I think all I said last couple of weeks was let's just wait, right? It didn't look great, admittedly. And then I just said, let's just wait till Worthy comes back.
Why do you want to wait, Geoff? We need an instantaneous hot take on everything.
We do, and you'll get some of them in a second. But the point is, like, I just said wait, right? And we saw the end of the Giants game, Thornton pop a little bit, gave Mahomes a little confidence. And we saw in this game, the Ravens are super beat up on defense. But you should do this, right? You should throw the ball in the Ravens. You should be able to run the ball in the Ravens. Pass protection was great. The thing I'm worried about the Ravens, though, is not really defensively. They'll get guys back. But again, getting Matabuke back and Van Noy, are you going to now go from allowing 37 points to what, 30? Like, there's other problems, right? Clearly, you're not going to go from 37 to 24. But offensively, they cannot figure out Kansas City, man. I don't know what it is. You know what the Chiefs are doing. They're going to zero pressure you. They're going to come after you. And Lamar has not figured out the offensive staff has not figured out how to play Sammy against the Chiefs. This is the year this is the time you had to beat them, right? You had a perfect opportunity to do so. Not only that, Lamar got hurt and didn't finish the game. I don't know how bad it is. I don't know if he could have played if the game was close, but this game ended with Cooper Rush and Gardner Minshew taking reps, which I think none of us thought was going to happen.
Ravens now lose to the Bills, lose to the Chiefs. So, I mean, you're going on the run in the playoffs.
Lamar's like the James Franklin of NFL quarterbacks. Everything's right, and then it's still not right at the end of the day. They just can't get home. Can't beat the big boys.
By the way, did you see there were an announcer out there, an analyst, saying how people need to start talking about Lamar Jackson more. One of the NFL pregame shows. It was
someone on the morning show, on one of the previous shows.
Talk about him more. The two-time MVP and the guy that nearly won. We need to talk about him more. All you do is talk about him.
And yet, despite being 1-3, the Ravens are still minus 200 to win the North.
Yeah.
And minus 600, 700 to make the playoffs. Not going to get my money at minus 600, Bear.
Are you interested in all about the Steelers, maybe a plus money to win that? Look, I don't think they're very good. It was a perfect Steelers game on Sunday in Ireland. Like, they're not worth the bet to win the division, are they?
Well, let's think about it. They're 2 games up right now, right? The Ravens quarterback is hurt at the moment. We don't know how bad. The Bengals aren't going to win the division. The Browns are likely to start Dylan Gabriel at some point, right? I mean, it's sitting right there for us to take if we would like. I think if Jackson's out a week or two, man, I can't. The Steelers are +7 in turnovers the last 2 weeks, +7, and one by a touchdown and one by 3 points. And they're +7 in turnovers the last 2 weeks.
And they were so dominant against the Jets in that 34-32 win on a 60-yard field goal at the gun to win it.
Now, I know that compadre in the sports gambling space has the coach of the year market cornered. It's Mike Tomlin to win coach of the year, where he's not yet to do it. And I think that's the play, right? If you think they're going to win the division, is Tomlin finally going to win coach of the year, going 10-7 or 11-6 and winning the AFC North, guys?
Oh,
I don't think so.
I can't get there. I really can't, just because I don't think they're going to go 11-6.
But if you think they're winning the division, is that a better wager to make than winning the Browns than winning the division?
Who are the other? We can write Jonathan Gannon off. That's
Shane Steichen.
Yeah,
will be up there.
I hope he.
Jim Harbaugh probably out. The Chargers' offensive line is such a mess. They're so beat up at the offensive line. They're going to fade fast. And Justin's going to get hurt, man. He's getting hit so much. He's getting hit. I think I tweeted this out, or not tweet. I took it from Daniel Popper. Like the last 2 weeks, he's been pressured 45 times. It's like an insane. He's been pressured on 46 dropbacks the last 2 weeks. The next is Joe Flacco on 35. So Harbaugh's done, I think.
Could you bet Sirianni?
Too, right? Isn't Alt hurt? So
Alt hurt. Yeah, they're both out. And the interior offensive line's not good there either. So like that's a problem. Who's Sirianni?
Yeah. I bet Hurts yesterday at 20-1 to win MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I didn't do it. We talked about this last week. Didn't do it. Here are your favorites at DK real quick. Steichen. In order: Steichen, Cohen, Mike McDonald, Jim Harbaugh, Mike Vrabel.
Mike McDonald would be the one that I could bet that, just because that division I think is wide open, because the Cardinals aren't as good as we thought, and I think the Niners with all their injuries, McDonald will be the one that I would bet there. If he keeps Darnold playing as well as he is, that's a guy I think that has a chance.
Man, Sammy, speaking of the Patriots, we got that game right too. That was the beauty of a game that we handicapped that one.
I just play stinky NFL dogs, and they are just bad. Panthers Titans, joy.
I looked at the look aheads. I might be on the Panthers again this weekend. They host the Dolphins. I hate myself, but they're going to get some points. Oh boy, it's going to be gross.
Speaking of getting points, Hawkeyes got some points on Saturday afternoon at Kinnick, and game was tied late. And Mendoza with a A long catch and run by one wide receivers there. Took it to the house to give Indiana a 7-point lead. And then for some reason, gentlemen, decided to take a safety. And that was important to some, as a 20-13 win turned into a 20-15 win. And if you bet the number early at the start at 6.5, 7 or whatever, you went from a win or a push to a very, very painful loss, even though I will say this, Indiana, I don't really think was ever the right side. I think an overtime win where Indiana maybe would have won by 3 or 4 was probably the right result. So while it was a brutal beat and you did have the win and loss, I don't know. If you bet Indiana, you really had no business winning that game, Jim.
No, but we overuse the term bad beat, and so it gets included in this mess as well. Yeah, Mendoza. So take a safety is a play that is often used on special teams, right? We saw it very famously in the Super Bowl, and we saw it actually happen at the end of the Eagles game as well. On a punt, they ran the end zone, took a safety. I'm not sure I've seen it from 40 yards away. I mean, Mendoza ran about 40 yards.
That's
and the clock expired.
You could get caught. Someone could knock the ball out. That's like dangerous.
And the clock had expired. I'm surprised you just didn't run back and fall down or something. But yeah, Sammy, obviously that was not a great beat. But again, you shouldn't have won that if you're in Indiana the entire game. Iowa, you talk about the Steelers, man. That was as Iowa game as it comes, man. Just as gross as it comes, and this is what they do, man. They somehow stay in these games and make them ugly when we don't think they can do it.
I was not able to see a lot of the games on Saturday, and I saw no games on Sunday. Awesome NFL Sunday wedding during the middle of the fall. What could be better than that? Don't know, Bear.
How was the wedding?
The wedding was fine. The wedding was very nice. The officiant, the Rev, was very handsome. That was me. I was the officiant. So it was good, but I did not see the Indiana-Iowa play. I was terrified, though, that Indiana was going to score to make it 20-20, and I was going to lose my under 48 in overtime. But you told me they weren't going to score, so
yeah,
thank you for that.
No chance. Now you want a bad beat. Here's my baseball week last week. I had Jacob deGrom under 184 and a half strikeouts. He was sitting on 177 with the Rangers done. deGrom has made it through the year healthy for the first time ever. He got 8 strikeouts to land on 185, so I lost by a half there. I had Tanner Bybee over 162 and a half strikeouts. He had 157 entering the game. I need 6 from him from the hard charging Cleveland Guardians. He gets 5 and lands on 162. So I lose by the hook there. And then just to cap it off on the weekend, I had a Mets to make the playoffs ticket that didn't get home. And to make matters even worse, Yankees under 93 and a half at the start of the year. Looking like a winner. I actually bought some back at over 87 and a half because things got so desperate and they were playing terribly. Under 93 and a half, never looked like a loser until they go 14-3 down the stretch to wind up 94 and 68. So baseball season was fun.
Any plays for the postseason? I took Dodgers to win the series, and I put it with I think NFL money line. I even forget which one I put in for nenext week.
Dodgers in the NL, and then maybe the Red Sox in the AL. Red Sox or Mariners. It's interesting. Paul Hembekides, who you might know from ESPN and First Take and his close work with Mike Greenberg, he put out a great tweet that I retweeted on Monday morning about if you look at the teams in the playoffs, how they've done against the other playoff teams. Like the Guardians are the worst, and they're like in terms of one-loss record and run differential, they're like minus 49. The second worst team is the Padres in terms of record and run. They're like a minus 47 run differential against the other playoff teams. Like we need to get past all of this Padres or this actual contender deal because they're like the biggest Fugazi team in the league.
Great. I have Padres 30-1 World Series. Thanks, Bear.
It's a toilet paper coaster, blow your nose.
Well, I hope not. I hope you're wrong.
Well, our producer's a big Padres fan, so I'm sure he's loving this discussion about the Padres off script
that
as
part's
well.
probably going to not make it into the actual the actual broadcast out of hate for us for bringing that up.
So Bear, question quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So do you turn back into a Yankees fan now? Did you fade them all season? Do you turn back into a Yankees fan? Yankees, Red Sox in the wild card round. Are you going to be a Yankees fan all of a sudden?
If they beat the Red Sox, I will. I have some Red Sox futures from before the season when it was rumored that they were going to get Juan Soto. There were some ridiculous numbers available on them before that news got out. And then they obviously never got Soto, but they did get Garrett Crochet, who was a pretty tough guy to beat in a short series. So I will sit and watch. I will not root for the Red Sox. I will sit and watch, and whatever the result is in that series, I will root for that team the rest of the way. My dad, if my dad heard this right now, he would be absolutely like just livid. He'd be so mad to hear me say I'm not actively, like I could actively root for the Red Sox if they beat the Yankees. That's something like 23-year-old Bear would never, ever, ever be able to do.
Your allegiance to your bankroll, buddy. I can understand.
Exactly right. I have a mortgage and a wife I need to take care of. So the mortgage hopefully be taken care of this week with some more college football bets. Eyes were lines that were eyeing in English. It's funny. This game that I'm going to talk about, Iowa State, Cincinnati. This number has gone back and forth. I looked when I sent the guys a note last night. It was Cincinnati minus 1.5. Looked this morning and was like, oh, you guys need to change it now. Iowa State's now a 1-point favorite. And now before we went there, Cincinnati's back to a favorite now. So it's like, where is this ultimately going to settle? We talked about last week, going into last week, ranked teams on the road against unranked teams. And we saw 2 lose outright on Friday, 2 needed overtime to win, and 2-1 needed to come back, win late to get a win in the fourth quarter. This is a dangerous spot. Cincinnati is a good team. They're better than I thought they would be. Had Nebraska on the ropes week 1, the Kansas game last week. Like the Iowa State, great job last week against Arizona, but now going on the road here in Cincinnati, I'm curious to see where this line ultimately settles if Iowa State maybe flips back to favoritism, because if that's the case, I could see myself hopping on the Bearcats here.
I don't have much for this game quite yet. I'm curious to see, obviously, the road thing. Bear, you nailed it last week. You put out that tweet, right, with the ranked teams on the road against unranked teams. I think it ended up being 3, right? The lost there. 2 and both Friday nights.
They all won on Saturday.
Yeah,
but only really Ohio State was easy, and there was one other one that I think that was easy on
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, yeah. But yeah, Tennessee needed overtime. Georgia Tech, Wake Forest got screwed and robbed by the officials, even worse, I think, than Auburn did against Oklahoma. And then BYU needed a late score, and Indiana was tied late and won as well. Like, it's funny. And now I'm on a rant again. There are people out there who are like, well, Florida State was a foregone conclusion. They were clearly going to coast at Virginia, and then in variance, Florida State was never going to cruise at Virginia. Virginia's offense is really good, and in a Friday night standalone game in an atmosphere like that, Florida. Before I say anything else, what's your line to watch, Geoff?
Oh, well, I have a few that I'm looking at. I'm going to reach out to some people I know in the Penn State program and see how they're feeling, because they're playing UCLA this weekend in the Rose Bowl, and we know what does James Franklin do when it's a favorite of like 7 to 24 points.
Usually they win very easily.
They win very easily. That's what I'm eyeing, but obviously emotionally. I like Maryland to cover the 5.5 against Washington at home this weekend. Washington off that.
That's interesting, that game.
Traveling across the country. And look, we have seen that the West Coast teams that are in the Big Ten, throw Oregon out of it, struggle going to the East. Washington last year did not win a road game. USC continues to struggle. UCLA stinks anyways, but did not play well at Northwestern. Maryland's off a bye. They just had a big win at Wisconsin. Washington's the real deal. I thought this team was going to struggle this year. Locksley proved everyone wrong. He made a big deal this year about like throwing out basically everyone out of the locker room. Like, I'm getting rid of all the guys I don't like. They're out of here. We're gone. And he fixed the culture, it feels like. So that's one I'm eyeing. The last one I'll give you quickly. Purdue's hosting Illinois, Sammy, and they're getting 9.5. Might be a first half wager, just fading Illinois off that big win. Purdue's off a bye. I'm not sure Purdue can last with them for an entire game, but that's sort of one I'm eyeing in the spot, the idea of just like fading Illinois off a big win.
I see Illinois down to 8 at a couple offshore shops.
No way. Wow. Okay.
Want to get involved there before we get even lower. As a Miami guy this year, I am terrified, Bear, of this game on Saturday.
Yep, so am I.
Playing Florida State off a loss is not something that I was looking forward to. So let's just hope Carson Beck balls out and Miami can win. But I'm very nervous. That line's coming into 4 at a lot of places. Red River is in 2 Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Oklahoma, Kent State. I'm going to lay 45.5, I think. I have to. I know that they got Texas on deck, but Oklahoma could win that 63-0 against Kent State. 45.5 is the number.
Oh, yeah. Their backups are so much better than what they're going to be playing. You saw Florida State roll through Kent State as well. You saw Oklahoma roll through Temple. New quarterback, I think you're going to see them run. They're going to have to run their offense and give this backup quarterback a chance to develop and play, because he's going to be on the field at Red River in 2 weeks. I don't think Mateer's coming back until South Carolina, so they're going to have to run their stuff against Kent State to make this kid feel comfortable. So I like that as well. And I was kicking out one more that I don't know if it's going to go to 7, go through the 7, and come down even further. But if Florida hasn't licked the stamp on the season, that defense could give Texas a lot of problems. We saw the one Power 4 game that Texas has played at Ohio State in the opener. Yes, road game, reigning national champion, Arches, road start there. Offense didn't do much. I don't care about Sam Houston State, San Jose State, and UTEP. This will be interesting this week to see if Florida, if they come out and still feel like they have something to play for, because that defense is legit.
Wise guys will bet them. They've bet them multiple times this season. They will take that defense getting points. I see a 6 offshore. A lot of 6.5. No more 7s.
Don't you always get up to play Texas, though? Like, even if you might have sort of cashed it in, I feel like Texas is the team that you're always going to get up to play, though. So I think that they will be excited to play this game and at least give effort early. Plus, like, Texas their offense is not good. Let's be honest. Like, it's not been good this season.
Yeah,
total 43. That's it.
I was going to say, I think
43.
this total was moved like 8 or 9 points from the look ahead line number. Like, got some
I mean, their offense is 50th in points per drive, which is not. I mean, it's fine, but the red zone, again, the red zone's a problem, right? Points per scoring opportunity 70th. Red zone TD rate 104th in the country, 55%. This is Texas. They can't score in the red zone again for another year. So I think Florida, again, you're to the right point. Like, they just show up a tiny bit on defense. This game is 2017, man.
And again, the numbers that you're reciting about points per drive being 50th, like, that's even worse, because that includes 3 games against awful competition. And we all saw the Ohio State game in the opener, how much they struggled that week as well. So a lot of fun kicking all that around. I mean, with a lot of stuff covered there from last week, and looking ahead, hopefully you find some bets there that you enjoy. We'll be back Thursday, college, NFL, Bruce and the Bear on Friday. Big Noon Kickoff will be in Ann Arbor, where the Wolverines are about a 17-point favorite over Michigan. Appreciate everybody for watching on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe. Like I said, we'll be back Thursday with more in-depth dive on college football. Expect to be joined by Miami quarterback Carson Beck, which will be a nice get for us and a nice conversation on a big week for the Canes. For Sammy, for Geoff, I'm Bear. Less you bet, the more you lose when you win.